Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the 2022 ban list. Right now, this is going to be my predictions, kind of a slash wish list for the next ban list, which should be taking place around January. I don't know when the exact date is. We don't have a confirmation of that. We just have like a no sooner than, but it'll probably be within the next couple weeks here. But this is my predictions as well as some of my wish lists. So starting right out, let's go and talk about a lot of these cards that people are talking about. So kicking it right off, I want to talk about some of the cards that make it so there's very little interaction or minimal interaction between players, and that actually can include Protos over here. What it comes down to is a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that do not let your opponent play. Obviously, Artifact Scythe has been here for so long. This is a card that a lot of people wanted on the ban list. Yeah, you do have to set up for it, but it's actually not that difficult. Same thing with Mystic Mind. They've actually already in the OCG have completely banned it because it's not a fun card to play with. It's just like dealing with Imperial Order in this like no playing zone. I don't really like it either, so I would say like these cards could all be contenders, especially Imperial Order with new Pendulum support coming out, and on top of that, a lot of decks just need spells to function, right? And then this card, when you open up with it against Sky Strikers, like GG, and it feels good, but when you're on the receiving end of Imperial Order, it does not feel good, especially with the Deck Masters also becoming a thing. Yeah, I think this card should just go away. They just like rip this card, it's gone. It's the same thing with Protos once you're able to get that effect of. Now, with Protos, I feel a little bit different with this because it's got to be special summon that has like a summon requirement. That's not going to be something that you're going to be summoning instantly. And then obviously you have to declare one and then destroy all of them. It still can be a pretty nasty setup because it's just you declare one attribute and destroy all monsters on the field. If you know what your opponent is playing, you could just literally like almost keep them from summoning itself. Obviously Sword Soul, because it's Worm, makes things very easy. But there are other archetypes that can make use out of it, but that's just like the more like relevant one in the game. Some people were talking about Fusion Destiny. Obviously, I don't think Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer will be straight up banned. They might think about, like in the OCG, they just hit this card completely. I mean, honestly, put it down to 1. Some decks just only like to play, like, you know, they just go for a little combo of making it in once, and then that's all you need. So I don't know if actually putting it to 1 will actually solve the problem. It's either banning it or just keeping it at multiple. You guys can let me know how you feel about any of these cards that we're talking about also at any point in this video. But in terms of this card, yeah, I could see it being banned completely. I just don't see them, again, hitting it down to 1 because it doesn't really do too much for some builds. But yeah, this card, it's the only reason why this card is really relevant. And once this card goes away, yeah, this card loses a lot of its value. So I'm not sure if they were going to hit it that early because we just recently got it. Eva as well as Ben 10 over here. Both of these cards, very, very good, obviously, for Drytron, but there are other archetypes that could maybe make some use out of it. But specifically Drytron, them getting these cards is very, very nasty. It feels bad to run into it. And I think Drytron's, I don't know if we're getting more like Galaxy's support later down the line that kind of works with them too. I'm not sure if people are going to be trying to like fuse that in there, but nonetheless, these cards could be contenders to be on the chopping block just because they're going to be done with the deck. The deck still is like an okay deck. Obviously, Tri-Brigade, Lyrical Loose, this is very popular as well. Naval, Fractar, these would probably be the cards people would look at. Also, the Recital, these could all be cards that could be getting a hit as well. I feel like there's just so many extenders in the Lyrical Loose Tri-Brigade variant anyways. Like, they have so many ways. Would they really be like a very bottom tier deck if they just put like if they put either one of these to 1, that'd be pretty big, but if they just put like both these to, I don't think the deck will really be that big of a hit. Some people also mentioned Revolt. I mean, this card is absolutely insane as well because it recycles, plus it gives you the thing. I don't think that this would be the card to hit because Yu-Gi-Oh is a very fast game anyways. It just gives them extra recovery, but I think that these are the 2 cards. If I was to hit something in Tri-Brigade, Lyrical Loose, these would be probably the cards. Anyways, next up, as far as Sword Soul, they are relatively new. They are still getting kind of some more extra support later down the line as well. But Mo Yi is probably one of like their best cards. Obviously, this card is really good too, but I don't think they would hit this. It does require a non-tuner Worm anyways. But this would probably be one of their better cards to hit. I'm curious to know if you guys think what in Sword Soul would you guys hit. I think Mo Yi is probably one of their better cards. Considering the deck is very consistent and you can go into other variants There's another card that lets you go straight into it. I know they changed the name in the TCG. Excelsior. Oh, Incredible Excelsior. Oh, they didn't really change it that much. But this card's also really good. You can just go, where is it? If your opponent controls one monster, you just slap it down, then you can only go for one of them. But then as quick fact, you get to summon a special summon a sword. So like, they have consistency anyways. But like, this is another great card, and I think it's one of their better cards as well. As far as Shaddolls go, and any variants of using like Invoked, Dogmatica, Shaddolls are still very good. And if you think about it, like, Shaddolls, one of their like most insane cards is really Winda. I mean, you summon this as like a GG no play. And then if this card was to be hit down to 1, I think that would help out a little bit. Considering this card over here, you could think about this ability to just remake Winda again. I think that this card and this card are probably the contenders if anything was to get hit in Shaddolls. As far as I'm aware, there is no announcement of new Shaddol stuff. There is a new announcement of Chaos stuff, which maybe will have support. There's a lot of insane fusion support coming out later down the line, with just a bunch of fusion support. So I could see one of these being touched, but again, I don't think this is like a huge problem right now. It's basically Tri-Brigade and Sword Swords are like the most like meta of meta. I mean, obviously we still have lots of people playing different variants of like Phantom Knights and stuff like that, or any like DPE variants are still very popular. Emergency Teleport, there is more Psychic support coming out. Also the Speed Raid stuff coming out, they are getting more support. So I could see this being another card that they could actually put down to unlimited, so you can play as many copies as you want, just to support some of the archetypes that are getting some more support. Next up, the Nadir, the Dogmatica. I've mentioned this before. Any variants of Dogmatica invoked. Sometimes Shaddol gets mixed in there as well. If anything were to be hit in Dogmatica, maybe they could touch Disciple, or it's called TCG Nadir. I call most of the things by the original OCG names from the first translation, because that's what I see on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. But Nadir is a very, very good card, obviously. And that would be maybe a contender to be hit as well, maybe down to 2. And then also seeing like all of the old things did get like some support, and they didn't really get to see some play. Like, for example, the Orcust and Salaman Great, I saw a bunch of people trying out this deck, but if you look at like the win-loss ratios over on like Dueling Book from Yu-Gi-Oh! Scope, the deck hasn't been doing so well. I know at the very start people were like excited to play because new Banlist, you know, people want to play some of their old stuff. But like these decks, when they were really popular, they were powerful. But now like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has just gotten to a point where these cards just don't see that much play anymore. And I think honestly, one Harp Horror would not make the deck super OP. It'd help out the deck obviously, but Orcust variants are so hard to pull off this day and age without Harp Horror. Just one Harp Horror would help out. If they put this to 2, that'd be pretty decent actually for some builds to go first. But like if Orcust goes second, it's so rough, honestly. You don't have the amount of discard outlets that you need. You have to play droplets and get really lucky with the cards that you're getting rid of. So I don't know if the Orcust, even at 1 or 2, they would be coming back. With Gazelle also coming back to 2, or whatever you decide to put these for the numbers, this could definitely help. Also like Circle could be something to be a contender as well. To come back into the game at maybe like 2 apiece. Let me know, guys, if you think Salaman Greats would be like top tier if they just put these at 2 each. I think it would be definitely a way better deck. Obviously, it's not going to hurt it if you put up more, but they'd be more viable. And then also Magical Meltdown. This is a card a lot of people wanted. I've seen it in different videos as well as discussions. Like if anything was to be hit, they are getting, like, just in general, fusions are getting so much support that, like, you know, Brandon Fusion's insane too. For any of like the mixed decks, this could be something that could be hit just to support the newer stuff. I've heard people wanted Bird Call. I feel like this card is relatively, you know, we just like got it recently, so I would say this card is great. I mean, they have so many abilities to get other monsters anyways, but like if you're talking about like Lyrical Scene or any variants of Tri-Brig, these would be like the cards I would look at anyways. Skullcrab Joker could probably go to 3. I didn't see that many like Pendulum decks in general, and that's because Electrum. We are getting a new copy of it, so I'm not sure. I'm just, some of these cards are just placeholders for like discussion videos as well. But I just don't see this card being hit, or this card even doing anything. Next up, I want to mention Second's Light. Like this card needs to be at least 2. I don't even think at 3 people would want it, because like you have to play droplets and you gotta play Imperm in most meta decks now. Second's Light has just really lost out on its potential to be really good. So I think this card could be a potential card that if they put back to 3, I would not be surprised on putting it back to 3, at least in my opinion. But on top of that, I was also checking out some of the stuff that was banned, and I was thinking about, like, you know, what could potentially come back on it. We have some wild cards that I'll talk about, but Second's Light definitely is a card I think that could come back. As well as, I guess, technically on the ban list, we'll talk about more about wild cards and some crazy stuff. So every time I mention ban list, everyone talks about this card. Honestly, is this card the problem? Is it this card that's a problem? Is it the fusion? Either way, this card is a very powerful card for casual play. This card is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's playing it, and this really makes casual players not want to play the game, honestly. There's so many casual players that are just like, this card broke the game, and like there's tons of broken cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! But this card in particular, it's just because maybe the summon like requirements are relatively easy for most decks. I always see a discussion about this. Is this card really the problem in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game? I think it's just the too many negates on top of having this card. I mean, this card does make you go minus, you have to pay for it, but still, at the end of the day, this card I understand for casual play. I always see it in every single one of ban list videos. What do you guys think about it in this format? You guys comment. No, most people just moved on to this just because it's a lot more versatile and you don't have to have that extra card, right? Some people are talking about the Shrug. I mean, this card, putting it down to 1 doesn't do anything. Obviously, yeah, if you ban it, that definitely does change things for like the tri-break. That would pretty much ruin it. So I don't see this card being banned, but I did see it as a point of discussion. This is one of the greater cards. I already mentioned I don't think they're going to hit this. If they're going to do something with Sword Soul, it'd probably be the Mogi or the one that goes into special and whatever Sword Soul they want. I already mentioned Winda. A lot of people are like, dude, bring back this card. Well, the thing is they're bringing back a watered down variant of this card in the future. It has some restrictions. It's not that bad, but like if they're bringing that card out, they're more than likely not bringing this out. That's at least my, again, prediction for that card. Thunder Dragon Colossus. So many decks need to search this. There is, as far as I'm aware, there's new Chaos stuff, which there is like Chaos Thunder Dragon variants, but I just don't see them putting this card back. Could it come back to 1? I mean, you only need 1 at the end of the day to really make this deck good, because you summon it and your opponent cannot Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like kind of the same concepts at the end of the day, so I'm okay with this card staying banned. As far as my wish list, I think the card should be just gone, just because it doesn't incorporate newer archetypes to really flourish, and there's, again, no support, as far as I'm aware, for Thunder Dragon variants, other than just Chaos support, which is generic. Some people were talking about Zeus. You can play the Zoo ships, and you can play any variant of like Zoo. Obviously, if they maybe put back Dryden, and then they just keep this card at maybe like 1, because like the only deck that would throw out so many copies of Zeus that I'm aware of was really like Zoo variants, because they would just have so many like XYZ monsters, right? Then it got pretty crazy that they can just make multiples of these. So if they put this card down to 1 and make it all the archetypes that play 1 copy of it, it's no problem. I'm not saying ban, but if this card went to 1 and then Dryden came back, or any like boosts to Zoo, then like, yeah, this card would more likely need to be put down to 1, just for like, I would say, kind of balance issues. And it's just annoying to deal with this. It's another one of those cards that I see a lot of times in comments on videos where like, dude, this card is insane. It is an insane card. And they've already reprinted this card, so now could be a time to maybe hit it to 1. I could see that happening. A lot of people want these cards banned. I see this all the time. I mean, this card specifically going into this back in the day was really good, but now we have so many insane Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, this card is either banned or it's at multiple, because you really only need it once anyways, for most decks, right? Unless it gets stopped, but a lot of times you're not making it again. I think this card is fantastic. I would be not surprised if this card did get banned, but if it stays there, I'm not surprised either, but that's the way I see this card. Same thing with Kalki Fibrax. This card, a lot of people wanted it banned for a long time. It's really one of like the best like synchro cards. Even though what I'm thinking about, like, we are getting more synchro support later, but a lot of stuff doesn't really involve this. A lot of them have restrictions that you can't go for anything except for synchro monsters. So I could see this card going away or staying just because of that, like, reasons. But those are my thoughts on those 2 cards. I already mentioned this, like, if you're going to hit something in this, yeah, you could maybe consider that card as well. As far as wild cards and cards that are people are like, oh my gosh, let me talk about those. So I've heard a lot of people talk about Shockmaster. It's like the same thing as these. My wish list, don't want it. My predictions, I don't think it's coming back, guys. It's just not realistic. Things that could come back, though, that I would not be surprised about, there is insane amounts of water support coming out. Would Tidal really make water super OP? It'd be definitely a great card, and this would be one of the dragon rulers that I think could maybe make a return if they decided to be like, okay, we're really going to support waters, and it would make people quite excited. Another wild card, and what I mean by wild card is something that like we didn't really expect to actually come back into the game, because most of the stuff that's on the ban list is like so broken anyways. This card definitely changes up the gameplay. I mean, this is like format defining over here. Maxi is an insane card. I could see it coming back. I feel like this card, if it comes back to 1 or 3, like regardless, it definitely just changes, and it changes up the gameplay so much at the end of the day. So this card, it's one of those cards where like if it came back, wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it will, but I mean, it's what's crazy is we look at the difference between the OCG, like this card's gone, this card's gone. I like their format usually 9 times out of 10 better than our current format. They got this at 3, we can't even have 1. Another thing I was thinking about in the OCG that they have multiple of, we can't even have 1, is grass. Grass, I mean, technically, would you even play, if grass went to 1, would you play it? Probably not. If it's at 2, you think about it. If it's at 3, it's like, okay, I'm gonna make a deck with it. So I feel like a crazy thing to do would be them going, okay, grass is at 3. Would they do it? Probably not. My predictions would be like, put grass to 1 and then no one cares, because there's no point, right? It's like Seconds Light's at 1. You might as well just ban the card. It's pointless, is the way I see it. So Seconds Light and this could go to 3, and then we could have some more weird stuff. And as a content creator, that's what I care about more 9 times out of 10 than an actual balanced game. But I'm trying to look at this at the standpoint for like what's balanced. Like obviously putting Shockmaster is not balanced, and I would say my wish list, I don't want it there. But as a content creator, if Shockmaster comes back, I mean, you make that card and it's just like a quick Shockmaster Turbo. It's like, I mean, I wonder if you can make, can you make multiples of these? It doesn't say Shockmaster's effect is once per turn. I mean, I'm sure someone will make a Shockmaster turbo deck, dump out. You can't do anything. Trap spells. I mean, if you think about it, they could just negate this card anyways. I mean, in terms of thing, I don't know. I think that it is insane because it is until their next turn. But another thing I wanted to mention, this is also for the Deckmaster duels. Is like this warrior card is like actually so insane, because when I mentioned it, someone was like, "Wait, if we apply the effect, you can't even summon warrior from another planet. Therefore, it can't even ever get wrecked." So, like most of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards would need to target the card on the field, and if it doesn't exist on the field or in the grave or anything, it just applies the effect. It's really broken for Master Duels, and I've already talked about it. Also with Branded Fusion, yes, it's very easy to make. I already did a dedicated video covering this card, but yeah, I think that this card, it's the same mechanics as like, you can't summon. So like, I would not be surprised if this card got hit, but it'd be kind of a wild card because no one's really playing it, right? But it's just to protect the game for the Deckmaster specifically, because if you go, this is my Deckmaster, it literally says no monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Go. So that's my opinion on that. But that pretty much wraps it up in terms of like what I wanted to go ahead and talk about. If there's anything that you guys felt like I missed out on that definitely should be getting banned, semi-limited, limited, whatever the case may be, definitely let me know in the comment section below. But those are my ban list predictions for January 22. But thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here and do want to see the actual ban list, and we'll check how accurate we were when it does come out. And if this is your first time here, hit subscribe, turn the bell, and you'll definitely see the new ban list as soon as it comes out. We'll drop a vid on that. But take care, and I'll catch you guys next vid. I'm out. Peace.